it's recording in progress now.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It is 7 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. I see people there. Mr. Garrett, do you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. Okay, very good. Again, I'd like to welcome everyone tonight to our back to school reopening meeting. It's been a lot of work and progress over the last few months. We've all been working very hard to get to this point here for the district and for the schools. And again, welcome everyone. Tonight we also have Dr. Lewis is I think in attendance, and Mr. Gahuli, our assistant superintendent. They've been tremendous in central office in getting our schools ready for this big moment in September. I'd like to try to get this started with my power. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually put everyone here on mute. There will be a point in the towards the end in question and answers where people will have an opportunity to ask some questions or comments. A lot of it will be here on the presentation. It should be able to answer a lot of questions, but those that I might not be able to answer, you can definitely join in the question and answer. I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But again, I want to welcome everyone, informing our families about our reopening plans that we have here at Davison, and it's also contingent with the other 3 schools in Malvern as well. Sorry, just moving. This presentation will show a day in the life of here at Downing at our school here. Things have changed.
Almost. Do you want a headphone?
Things have changed a good bit as far as the frame where we're operating with the new COVID regulations. And I want to show recent guidelines and how they will be met, and also present the district learning option and talk about the options that were available from last week after the governor made his declaration that students can return. The important thing for the school district and for us is safety, and safety is the most important thing for our school district. I'm going to be talking about temperature scanning, cohort grouping, fresh air zones that we're going to have, verification and areas and quarantine areas that we have in the nurse's office, redesigning of our classrooms to reflect for COVID, and the important part that we're going to have to do as a staff is reacclimating our students to school. It's been a long journey for our parents, for our students, for our staff, and it's very important we do that reacclimation properly. It's very different from the traditional early elementary setting that we've done in the past of sharing and working together. A lot of it more will be a lot more independent, only because of the COVID regulations. And those things we need to adapt and work together as a school family, both our faculty and our parents. So let's talk a little bit about starting the day for our students. Our students are going to roughly arrive like they used to at 8:15 in the morning. And the big change for our students is the students must be wearing a mask or face covering when entering the building. And, you know, it's very important that we, as parents, get them used to that, because that will be a part of their daily routines coming in and making sure when they're in hallways, on the bus, if they're going to take the bus, or if they're in other areas, it's important to have that. Hold on, mute that. Parents must fill out an online questionnaire before students will be entering the building, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. There will also be daily morning temperature checks. We'll be talking a little bit more about that. Staircases and hallways. Our staircases, hallways, and we'll have one-way access, which we're working on. And there's going to be a designated verification and quarantine room for students who don't meet the entry point criteria. So I'm going to show you here, this over here is the questionnaire that will be in app form. And parents will have to fill that out daily. It's going to be the same 3 questions that you will have to answer. Basically, you know, have your child been exposed to COVID, you know, and those 3 questions will remain throughout the time period. But it will be an app, and the parent has to complete the questionnaire by 7 a.m. Every morning in order for the phase 1 for the child to pass into school. Okay, so that must be done. That information about the app will be given out before school starts. The child will scan their ID that's going to be linked to this questionnaire. So when they come in, they're going to have to bring out their ID with them, and they're going to be scanning it. Again, it's linked. If the child scan reads below 100, the student will be able to move on to class, and they need to have, of course, their mask on while they're walking through the hallway. This is the kiosk that we're going to be using. It's called Safe Check. Mr. Nelson and our technology team has done a great job of putting together throughout the district these kiosks. They're actually amazing. I'm going to show you a short video in a little bit and how they work. I'm absolutely amazed how quickly and efficiently they actually do work. Again, the students will have their temperature checked at the kiosk with staff assistance. Parents will complete the questionnaire, again, by 7 a.m. every morning, and so the child can pass. Again, mask. I'm going to keep mentioning that throughout the presentation. Masks must be worn.
I think.
And again, if the student's temperature reads 100 degrees or more, he or she will be taken to the holding area. Now, the holding area will be, the verification area will be our library. That will be the area. We need a little bit of a larger area in the morning because children's temperature fluctuates a little bit, and we want to make sure that we get accurate readings. So they will be then, after, let's say, a period of 15 minutes, the student will be rechecked again for their temperature, okay? Now, if the student reads again above 100 for the second time, they will be placed in the quarantine room, which is in our nurse's office. Okay, our buildings and operations have worked on creating these zones and safe zones for our faculty and students, and the quarantine room is cordoned off in the nurse's office. Okay, I'm going to show you just a segment of the video so you get an idea of how this kind of works. And again, this presentation that I'm doing, it is going to be recorded. So you can go back to it and take a look at the videos or different components that are presented tonight. So I'm going to show you here just a quick part of the video. Here we go. So that is a quick demonstration there of the video. You can see how quick and efficiently the temperature is scanned and for movement. It's very important, especially that we are arrivals are the main time that we're doing temperature checks. We're going to have different areas that will be for that. Again, the main area, especially for bus, is here where our library is. That's going to be the verification room. And that's going to be one of our kiosks right there. That's for students. Again, here is the main door entrance. That's going to be for adults and staff that are going to be going through that door. And lastly, the other door is by the gym that we're going to be using for walkers and students with that. This way we can move students efficiently and safely through the building. Going back to the screening, again, any individual who screens positive for COVID, exposures or symptoms must be immediately sent home with instructions to contact their healthcare provider for assessment and testing. You know, it's very important. We have to, the minute that we do suspect with that, you know, we do need that follow through with the physician. Students who are being sent home because of a positive screen must be, again, we're going to be separating them, and the guardian or parent must come right away. Here's a flow chart that we are using in the district here that is very important. You know, we have two flow charts to, you know, talk a little bit about the how the progress with symptoms. If the student comes with passes both components of the home survey and also the scanner, and no flags, they'll proceed right to the classroom, and students will be going directly to the classroom. We're not going to have the regular area like we did in the gym or different meeting areas because of the safety factor. We have to make sure that the students arrive directly into their classroom. If there is, if a student, let's say over the weekend or different things, is exposed to someone who has COVID and you find that out, the student will have to be home for 14 days to make sure that things are safe for both the student and for the staff and faculty. Here, the next one here, if there is a diagnosis but no symptoms are shown, the student is home for 10 days since the first positive COVID-19. So again, that's with a diagnosis and no symptoms. The last part would be for regular things that happen for students here. For symptoms, let's say fevers, chills, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, new cough or new loss or taste or smell. that as well, that would need, and again, these are normal things that might happen during the course of the school year, that will need a doctor's note to return for school. Here we have a flow chart, and basically it talks a little bit about, again, the no flags for that and the student going directly to class. However, if the child does become symptomatic during the school day, they will have to be reevaluated again. And if it is confirmed, again, with the fever, they will have to be picked up. Going into masks and face coverings, students are required to wear appropriate face coverings when not seated at their desk. And this is in the hallways, restroom, buses, and common areas. And students may wear masks all day if they choose to. It's required to wear face coverings when speaking indoors. So if a student is speaking, they should put on their mask during that time period. But otherwise, if they're within the 6 feet distance, and I'm going to show you a picture of a classroom of them separated and they're sitting down in their seat, they're not speaking, they may have their mask removed. No neck gaiters, they're not acceptable. There was a finding recently out about that, so that they weren't as effective as should be. So no neck gaiters. My son wore them during the summer, and we, after the findings, we didn't proceed with that anymore. And there are exceptions, of course, those who are medically unable to tolerate a face covering while eating and during instruction while seated, as I said before, socially distanced and not speaking. Cleaning, that's going to be a major part of life here. It has been in the past. Being in elementary school, we were always very conscious of it, but we're even more so now because of the conditions.
Excuse me, Mr. Talent, can you open your screen? It's blurry. We can't see it.
I can try. Hold on 1 minute. Which one? Is that a little better?
Yes, that's better. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. So here, all rooms will be deep cleaned and sanitized using a fogger every night. You know, this will be commonplace every day, and to do that deep clean that's needed to sanitize each classroom after use during the day. Bathrooms will be cleaned and disinfected 3 times daily. They will be on strict schedules with that, and throughout the day as well. But definitely the disinfection will take place 3 times daily. Common areas, the entrance, the corridors, the hallways, high touch surfaces areas will also be cleaned throughout the day and on schedule. And our custodians will maintain a daily cleaning log that will be given to myself in central office to check. Custodians during this time period will, of course, be wearing proper PPEs. And I'm going to show you a video in a few minutes of the fogger that will be going on in the classroom. And students will not be present. This will be all after school, okay? And also another important part, there is no after school activities in the building. There's no MAC, and right now no clubs because of the deep cleaning that needs to be done. Okay. I might have to go back here to show the video because it's on a different screen. Hold on 1 second, okay? Here we go. And 1 second. That's why I kind of stayed in that zone before, because my videos were coming in through that form. It didn't come in the other one for some reason.
Mr. Talent, hit the escape key. It'll take you out.
Ah, okay. Thank you, Mr. Z. Here we go. This is in the high school here, and it's showing here what will be happening throughout the okay. Okay, and I go current slide. I think I'm back. And I go this way. Thank you for your patience. Okay, there we go. Thank you for your patience. It's a great video just showing again the deep clean and the fogger that will be used, you know, every day for cleaning. Visitors, it's going to be very different. You know, as an early elementary, you know, we're big on, you know, our visitors, our family and friends being an important part, our assembly programs. But that won't be. We're going to have no outside visitors or volunteers allowed in the building. And it basically will be, you know, for safety if a parent has to come and pick up a student or report to the security desk for each building. Again, essential visitors will be required to wear face coverings and PPE and restricted to access in our school buildings. And again, visitors must follow all safety protocols. Okay, classrooms. This is a big component. We worked very hard throughout the district of measuring. We did a lot of measuring and trying to figure out spacing and removing a lot of carpets and furniture and different components that traditionally make up an elementary school. And what we were trying to do is to get our desks spaced 6 feet apart. And I'm going to show a picture in a minute, and you can kind of see what that looks like. In the classroom, again, I'm going to mention mask again. Mask will be worn again. I keep stressing that. It's probably going to be in every other slide. In the classroom, when the children are in the classroom, they are seated at their desk, and when they're not speaking, they may remove their mask. There'll be no sharing of supplies during this time period. Teachers will have in the front of the areas a teaching zone of 6 feet. As well as the students who are spaced 6 feet apart. This is very important. They're going to have cohort grouping for the entire day. And they are going to be a lot of the time in the classroom, but there are also going to be times where we have times that they're going to be visiting the fresh air zones that we have created. And also times when they might be brought out for specials for PE or music. But a good portion of the day, they will stay as a cohort together, and they'll remain within that classroom during that time period. Again, hand sanitizer pumps. Sorry. Hands-free sanitizer pumps will be in the classroom, and also, again, the rituals of daily cleansing and sanitizing for each classroom. Okay, here's a picture on the side here, a little bit of the classroom as far as the spacing for students. Again, 6 feet accordingly. The students will be going in the first thing in the morning directly to their classrooms. The classes and desks have been arranged to comply with social distance guidelines. Students will be required to wear a mask in the classroom when social distancing is not possible. Again, there will be no cubbies this year, no carpet or meeting areas. Students will not be traveling during the day. The special area teachers will come to the room for instruction. Lunch, again, will be in the classroom. We can't have lunch in the cafeteria as, a large group gathering, so they're going to have lunch into the classroom. And if a student is buying lunch, it will be delivered to the room. There will be, again, no sharing of supplies. Like we did in the springtime, our students will be using Seesaw in the classroom and also contingent for homework. Again, cohort grouping that I described before. Doing very small groups for reading in order to get that successfully accomplished. Our fresh air zones, again, will be available for each class, and each class will have fresh air time during the day. I'm going to show a picture in a little bit of our zone areas that you can take a look at. And it'll be scheduled in the morning every day for students to go out with their cohort. There'll be 8 of those different zones, and those students will be reserved that day for that particular zone. Parents will be given the option to choose to send your child in for live instruction or 100% virtual instruction. I'm going to talk a little bit about that a little bit more in the further slides that went out last week. The option if you were interested in that, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Students will be required to stay with their choice until the end of the quarter if you do choose 100% virtual instruction, which is November 16th. And in either option, your child will be placed in a group or cohort that they will remain until we return back to normal. That's if we go to complete distance learning. Okay. This is, again, let me see the schedule here. Doors will open at 8:15. Our buses arrive at 8:15. Dismissal is going to be earlier this year. I'm going to show you the schedule in a minute. Dismissal will be at 2:19 this year. And when I show you the schedule, is 1 period shorter per day. The reasoning behind that is our classes and cohorts are going to be spread, say in 1st and 2nd grade, into 8 different classes. And therefore, the amount of specials that were needed during that time period had to be filled. So they're going to have 1 special instead of 2, but their day is shorter. And we're also decreasing the class sizes to, it depends on the room, 16 or 20 students, but that number will probably be lower. And also increase of parallel classes per grade. Again, that number is going to increase per grade, especially on 1st and 2nd grade. They're going to be about 8 classes per grade. This is a quick overview of the schedule here. Again, they're going to have their schedule and their special in the middle of the day, and their lunches reflecting close to during those specials. In the morning, they're going to have a designated time for those fresh air zones that will be scheduled within their periods here. Also note again that 2:19 will be the dismissal with that. So we have to just mark it on your calendars there. This was the email survey that was given out last week for K-5. Here is a listing of it. Over here is you have a choice if you want to have K-5 in person, or if you prefer the distant learning option. Now, again, if you were heading for the distant learning option, and I'm going to talk about what it will be, you need to please put that in by August 20th. I think at 10 o'clock, that must be in. Very important, okay? Now, if you are 0.8, I'm going to go to the next slide. I'm going to go right into, let me see. Let's go into distance learning first with the survey, okay? Materials and distribution will be on the first day, which is, I think, the 9th, which will include iPads for those who are interested in distance learning. Grades will follow the same curriculum and pacing as the brick and mortar here at school. Our primary platforms will be Seesaw and WebEx. The schedule is subject to change should the entire building need to move to distance learning with that. But there will be daily participation in specials, just like in school. The class size and number of the sections will be dependent on how many students enroll. So we're collecting that information right now on on August 20th by 10 o'clock. I know myself and Ms. Gross will be busy in trying to take a look at these surveys that went out and for that information to get back so that we can start forming the classes as soon as possible. So if you do decide to go for the distance learning, you're going to have to commit for the whole quarter. That's until November 16th. Again, it's going to be a more robust distance learning where you have Seesaw and WebEx, but they will be more direct instruction in comparison to in the springtime that just occurred. Again, if you are interested in distance learning, you must enroll by August 20th by 10 o'clock. That's very key. Again, we sent the forms out in multiple forms. You probably got it several times, but we wanted to make sure that you did receive it because it is a very important form. Students that must quarantine for any reason, let's say you were in in regular learning in the brick and mortar, you will be placed in a distance learning class during that time period. And full classes that might have to quarantine will also move to full distance learning during the day if that is deemed necessary. Transportation, that was the other component in that form that was sent out. If you're 0.8 miles from school or more, you must fill that out, whether you plan to use the bus or not. If you're 0.8 miles from school, you must fill that out, okay? You can see the district's website for the bus enrollment form. Sorry there. And if you don't plan on using the bus services, you still have to please complete that form as well. We plan on making sure that the students have the same seat during those time periods. They will have assigned seats. Students will be loaded from the back of the bus to the front of the bus. Again, seats will be numbered and marked. All buses will be cleaned and disinfected twice a day. Masks will be worn on bus by staff and students. 2 students per seat and assigned seats for a total of possibly 40. Some buses will be less. School bus monitors and drivers will submit daily health screens every day. And school bus drivers and monitors who have who have direct contact, let's say helping with buckles or different things, will have gloves on during that time period. Okay, specials and lunch. Again, specials PE, music, art will be redesigned for health and safety. Again, they will be push-ins, or if weather is good, they will be going out during that time period into their fresh air zones. PE will occur as often as possible in the designated outdoor locations. Students, this is interesting, students who, if they're singing, they need to be socially distanced 12 feet apart, so that will be conducted outdoors. Specials will include a hybrid of indoors and outdoor learning during this time period. And again, for meals will be in the classroom, followed by daily recess in designated locations. Here's a picture of some of the fresh air zones, very familiar to you, but they will be zoned areas over here. There are going to be 8 designated zone areas on the field area, throughout the school, the playground, our garden area, our blacktop. So we have 8 different fresh air zones that will be used. Special education, 504 in E&L. Students who receive special education services will continue to do so as outlined by their IEPs. Students who receive accommodations as per their 504 will continue to receive them as well. We're looking into working with our horseshoe tables and different things that we have of doing different types of guards that will be able custom made so that we can have a little bit more proximity with masks. And our special ed distance learning option will align with our Downing plan while meeting the needs that are identified in their IEP. And there's going to, for more information with special ed, Mrs. Martini will be hosting a chat tomorrow at 3, and that information is right there. I'll also put it on, I know it's in Twitter and different things as well, so you can take a look at Mrs. Martini's or Ms. Gross or myself that will be there for the number if you'd like to join tomorrow for special ed. School closure. In the event of another closure under executive orders, or if we must close Downing, as per the health department, all classes will be going utilizing Seesaw and WebEx, but again, it will be a more robust program with the virtual learning component. All students will follow a virtual schedule the full day, including academic support and specials. And a schedule will be contingent upon details of closure and staffing availabilities. You know, during this time period, we had to realign some of our teachers that will, in order to accommodate for having 8 classrooms and realigning with that. And our classes, again, as I mentioned before, we're using Seesaw in the classroom so that we can move to an all digital learning environment if we need to. Nutrition, you know, it's very important. School meals will continue to be available to all students, including those attending in school in person, and those who are learning remotely. That was done throughout the summer, and that will continue as well for those who are learning remotely. And the district will also distribute meals to those children receiving free and/or reduced lunch on students who are working remotely. The calendar changed a little bit, which Dr. Lewis sent out recently of that change. The first day of school is now September 9th. The start of distance learning will be the 10th. The pickup for those materials for those students will, for distance learning would be on the 9th, and there will be further information about that. And a lot of the other things that are in the regular calendar is going to change. The teacher date, some of the other dates, pictures, and other components that will have to be changed. We will be giving a lot of information about that. But a lot of it will be as far as like meet the teacher or for maybe parent-teacher conferences. That's a little bit further for us. We'll make assessments as we go along, but meet the teacher at the beginning will definitely be on a virtual mode. And preparing, it's, you know, very important during this time period for you, you know, to help us get your child ready for school, preparing your child for the new dynamics, you know, talking about that. School's changed a little bit, and it's not the kind of same cooperative tables and cooperative grouping that we've been very familiar with. And you have to, you know, talk to them a little bit about that. We, of course, when our students come in, we'll be talking about that, but it's a good idea to prepare them a little bit for that. You know, and discuss about COVID-19, I'm sure you have, and, you know, how to stay healthy, you know, hand washing and mask wearing. And review, you know, with your child's social distancing and being 6 feet apart, you know, what that looks like, you know, what it looks like to be 6 feet apart, to show them physically so they have a good idea. And if, you know, your child is having difficulty tying the shoes, you know, please practice. But, you know, during this time period, you know, Velcro is recommended. Also, you know, please, any updates for contact that you have, vital that you please let the main office know about that. And also coming up with backup plans for pickup if your child is sick. Very important to make sure that you have connections and making sure, because if you are at work and you do get a phone call that your child has to be picked up, it's very important that we have that someone is there for them right away, because we don't want our students waiting. Emotional well-being will be very important for our students when they're coming back. We're going to be doing virtual orientation programs, which will be facilitated by our counselors, social workers, school psychologists, and teachers to reorient our students to the school building and the new model of school. We're going to have small in-person and virtual meeting groups. These groups are designed to foster and build relationships with adults and peers. Some themes will include mindfulness, relationship building, self-care, self-management, and healthy living. Administrators and teachers will work in unison with counselors and mental health providers on social and emotional learning in the classroom, and include a focus on the social and emotional competencies. And we'll continue the use of district referral process for students in need of additional support. Our IST team will continue to meet and take a look for our students and check how they're doing both academically and emotionally. So what I'm going to do in a minute is we will open up for questions. I'm going to keep everyone on mute though during this time period so that everyone will have an opportunity to speak and hear each other, because if I take everyone off mute, it'll be very muddled. So if you can, just take your time. We're going to be here for a bit, and if you have any questions, as I said, and please listen carefully, because sometimes either you might have came late to the presentation, and or someone might ask a question that you might have been asking. So I'm going to open it now to question and answer from our families.
Hi, Mr. Talon. This is Kendall Folio.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I just had one question about the temp scanners. Just so I can give my daughter an idea of what to expect if she has an over the limit temperature for whatever reason. Is it a loud noise? Is it a light? How exactly does it indicate?
That's a very good question. I think it's very seamless as far as that. I think there is a little bit of a light, and there might be a little noise to it. They're very quick and efficient, and I think very low emission of noise and light with that, as you saw from the video. So maybe just showing the video and just going over, this is what you're going through. We did a initial screening for kindergarten, and I was using a hand temperature gauge during that time period, just to get the students kind of used to that. But the video, I think, would help a little bit, just as far as seeing how they're going to be entering into school during the day. And this is throughout the district as well. So if you have a child in another school, we're all using the same readers.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Mr. Talon. It's Tara Brennan.
Hi.
Hi. Just a quick question about drop-off and pickup. Will the drop-off be through the gym doors, and then the children will just be dispersed to the classroom through that way? And then for pickup at the end of the day, will that be in the back, as always, by the gym, by the kindergarten classrooms, and so forth?
Great question. We are working on that. The thing is that we have to align with our one-way directions in school. So that's part of the reason why we were doing the other scanner by the gym. We're looking at doing possibly, and you'll get information completely about this on access and where you're going, but we're tentatively looking right now at our walkers and possibly second grade, maybe, only because our second grade wing is down that end and we're trying to do things one way. But I'm going to give full and complete instructions on how that's going to be done. But it's going to be a little bit different, our dismissal as well, because our students will not be lining up in the hallways as they traditionally did. So again, I'm going to give a complete and thorough where everything will be, but that's kind of a layout of what we're doing, for the upcoming year.
So much.
Does that help? Okay.
Hi, Mr. Talon. It's Shakira
Hi.
Kelly. I have two questions. One, the 8:15 start, does that include breakfast for the kids? And then also the school supplies. I know we're going to use like iPads and Seesaw. So is there any actual supplies that the children will need?
The supply list is currently on the website. It's a generic list. I mean, we'll be giving more specific lists in the mailings that we're going to be giving out. But right now, just to get some of those things that you might, we kind of pull together each grade of some of the common items. And we're coming up with a plan as well of, how to bring that in during that time period, because, there is certain things we want to keep things as far as storage and different things organized and complete. I'm trying to think here.
The breakfast at 8:15.
Breakfast at 8:15. Yeah, it's I think it might be a few minutes earlier for breakfast with that. Not much, but I feel like maybe 5 or 10 minutes, I think, beforehand. I'll give specific details with that in the letter coming out.
Hi, Mr. Talon. This is Shauna.
Hi.
I want to follow up on the last question on the iPad. If they're using Seesaw in the classroom, do we have to supply an iPad, or will one be supplied for them?
No, very good question. Thank you. It will be supplied in school for them.
Okay, and for the supplies, if there are no supply sharing, do we have to send all the supplies? For example, 5 dozen pencils, or do I send a dozen at a time?
I would send it again in smaller increments, because we won't need them all at once. We're going to again, send that out as far as supply and the rollout for that, because again, we want to keep it as organized as possible. So we're going to be asking it for it to come in increments, not all at once.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Talon?
Yes.
I'm here with my husband Jerry. We have a question. Suppose this COVID situation, like midway through the first quarter, increases for a broad reason, and we want to remove our child from school. Is that permitted or not?
Say that again, please. I'm sorry.
I want to know whether or not if we put her in school and for a odd reason, COVID cases go up and we remove our child midway through the first quarter, is that allowed?
If they're in school at that time period and they're
we want to remove her midway, like in October, there's like a spike in COVID cases. Can we remove her from school?
You can, hold on, let me just, for virtual, hold on one second, I have to, you can move from, I'm sorry, you can move from the brick and mortar
classroom to remote at any time, just can't go back
to virtual.
Yeah.
I think, hold on, I think Ms. Gross is here. She might be able to help me with that.
This is Dr. Lewis. Yes.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Dr. Lewis. Thank you.
Yes. You can go from the brick and mortar back to virtual if that's what you choose. However, if you're in virtual, you cannot until the end of the quarter.
Okay, that's fair enough. Thank you, Dr. Lewis.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis.
Mr. Talon.
Yes.
So, can you tell me how many kids will be in the classroom? Because that's a big decision to decide whether we want to send them in the class, do virtual with them. That's a big decision.
Absolutely. Across the board, we have tried to go and spread the students out. Our numbers are larger for first and second grade. Again, we're looking currently at least 8 classes per grade. Therefore, it depends on the room. Some rooms are larger than others. I'll give you an example. Our rooms on the first floor are much smaller than the rooms that are in the kindergarten wing and the new addition. Those rooms can get up to possibly 20 if we have to. The smaller rooms would be capped at 16. And that's a cap. That would be a cap with that. It wouldn't be more than that in those classrooms.
Okay, thanks. Thanks.
Hi, good evening. My name is Aisha.
Hi.
I just wanted to know, are there going to be any special procedures or any extra meetings for incoming kindergartners?
Yes, thank you. There will be, we're going to be holding a kindergarten orientation either the 1st or 2nd of September before we start. We're going to, I have to work with my kindergarten teachers, but we're going to talk about the new design of the classroom. We did order desks for the classroom. It's not going to be doing the group tables. So we have, the chairs and individual desks that will be in those classrooms. But we're going to walk through what a day in kindergarten will look like under the new regulations, and also show what a classroom will look like as well. And we'll be able to answer. We've done our kindergarten orientation over the years, and parents have felt it's been very helpful. And we're going to do it. We're just not sure if it's the 1st or 2nd. We just have to organize that. But it will be the beginning of September.
Okay, thank you. And the last question, did you say that there possibly could be 20 kids in one classroom, possibly?
Possibly. It could be up to 20. It depends on dependent on the enrollment. If our numbers are a little bit higher, let's say for virtual learning, and our numbers get over, let's say, a class load of that, then those numbers could eventually get a little bit lower, but we're not 100% certain. That's all going to be dependent. We're going to be laying all those cards out on that Thursday and start, planning. But the most it would be in a classroom would be 16 or 20. That would be the most that would be in there that could be socially distanced. Again, we measured very carefully throughout the summer and trying to make 6 feet from each center of the desk and around in a 6 feet area for the teachers in the front. So that's, each room is very different. The school, both Downing and Davison, have been designed and redesigned and added over the years. And so some rooms are a little bit larger than others. And we've taken out everything in those classrooms. There's nothing in there other than the teacher's desk and the student's desk. There's no carpets, there's no cubbies, nothing as far as that. So that's the reason why we can get to that number if needed.
Hi, Mr. Tallon. This is Miss Rivera, Kaden Rivera's mom.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm question in reference to the virtual learning option. In Davidson, the kids are required to log in at 8 o'clock, and they will actually virtually have visual instructions with the teacher throughout the day. Will you guys be doing the same as well?
Yes, exactly. They're going to be following basically the same schedule, but there will be the virtual teaching that teacher. Exactly the same as they're doing over at Davison.
Hi, Mr. Is that live instruction? Sorry. So just to piggyback off that question, is it live instruction?
I'm sorry?
This question is instruction?
Yes, it will be live instruction. Accommodation there will be some recorded or different things, but the majority of that will be live instruction.
How will the attendance be taken? Will it be taken upon signing in, or is it upon giving in the lessons, or how is attendance taken virtually?
Attendance will be done when they are checking in with the teacher, via their Seesaw and WebEx. They'll be taking attendance right away, locking in. They'll be meeting with the students right away and doing attendance right away.
And just one last question. Would you be able to tell me, are there going to be masks? If we opt to do the in-person, will the school have masks to disseminate in case the student doesn't have one that day?
Have what? A mask? Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes, we have masks. Students will be issued. We have them. They will be given out once a week, but we do have them for the students if they need it. Absolutely. We ordered a lot of masks because they're young kids, and kids will be kids, and we know that. So we did order. I know both buildings a lot of masks, but with masks, it just gives the kids an opportunity. They can have their their own, and make it their own personality a little bit as well.
Sounds good. And just to be sure, all of the instructors will be enforcing the masks, right? I know you've mentioned it several times throughout your presentation.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it'll be the a common throughout, and the first few days, always, at the beginning of school is the routines, especially in early elementary, and doing those routines, that's going to be part of that new part is doing those new routines of the mask and 6 feet apart and social distancing. Those things will be reiterated over and over again with the students at the beginning, without a doubt. But again, masks will be on the bus, in hallways, and in any hub areas that, let's say, where students are coming and going with. Masks will have to be on. The only time students can take off their mask is when they're sitting at their seat during that time period, and they're 6 feet socially distanced from other students.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Talent,
Yes.
Carolina Herrera. I have a question regarding the lockdown and fire drills. How
Okay.
are they going to be conducted?
Very good question. We are meeting with our teachers, and each building is different, and coming up with our plans for that, as far as for lockdowns and for fire drills, because they're very different. And I had a meeting with our staff, and we are having smaller meetings within there to come up with individual plans for that. So we're working on that right now, just as far as, because we have to go in certain things with one direction, and also try to make safety both for social distancing, but also for our drills as well. And we're going to be working in conjunction with BOCES too. And we have a new director of facilities, Mr. Balzan. He's been wonderful. He's been over and checking on our how we're progressing with social distancing, and he will be working with us in that process as well. So it's going to be a challenge, definitely, for us to do those new drills with that. But it's again, we're going to be working together to form that.
This is Joe Richards, Trey's mom. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Just a question. So let's say a child in the class is sent home and to go to the doctor, possibly for a COVID test. Is there a procedure in place for reporting that back to the school? Are we relying on the parents to report to the school, or do the doctors do that? Is the nurse following up in a certain amount of time for us to get results?
The parent needs to go and put that in ASAP to us in order for the student to return. That doctor's note is essential with that.
Well, I don't even mean for them to return, but in terms of reporting, like, let's say the child does test positive. Is it the responsibility, waiting for the parent to report that to the school, or is there some procedure that the doctor, it's like automatically reported to the school?
To my knowledge, it's on both as far as that. Again, when a student is out, we will be following up with it. They will not be able to return without that clearance from the doctor. But we need the notification right away.
Hi, I have a question, Mr. Talon.
Yes.
You said they were going to be using Seesaw, and I'm guessing they're going to be using WebEx for the live instruction.
Okay.
Is there any other method of communication that they're going to be using? Because some teachers were using Class Dojo, emails, different applications. Is there any standardization for this year?
The standardization with our platform will be, again, Seesaw, okay? but there will be, correspondence. The teacher will be giving out their email, and also, there will be some are going to be using Dojo a little bit, but again, the main platform that's going to be used is Seesaw.
Mr. Talon, this is Luke Penneter.
Okay.
I have a question about the daily app. What happens if we're a minute late, or the app is down, or there's a phone issue? Our child's not going to be allowed into school. Like, is there some way around it? Like we call or something, some way?
No, I think it has to go through the app. There might be a little time in it, but it really has to be within that time period.
Will he be then able to enter the remote classroom for that day?
No, they would have to be on. No, they would have to be at home during that time period.
No, I understand, but in the remote classroom, or is he going to be denied school that day?
If the child is on virtual learning?
Yeah, no. If he's registered to go into the classroom, and for some reason that the 3 questions on the app don't make them in time, he's going to be denied entrance into the school that day, correct?
Yes, it has to be in on time.
Okay, so
it's going to be a ritual with it.
Okay, so if something happens and that does not occur because the internet's down or there's an issue with the app, is he going to be allowed to go into a remote classroom for that day?
That is a good question. I'm not 100% certain.
This is Dr. Lewis. No,
Thank you, Dr. Lewis.
No, the remote classroom is a classroom, and so we can have flow back and forth. We have to respect that as a classroom onto itself. If there's an issue with the app that we've identified, then we would have to make some arrangements with the family. But we cannot consider the remote classroom as one that isn't go back in. So if there is something that is wrong with the app, we will recognize it and we'll adjust accordingly. But the remote classroom is not a fallback.
Yeah, but there will be kids moving in and out of the remote classroom if they get quarantined, correct?
Only in those instances, which would be a 14-day issue, not a 1-day.
1-day issue, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Talon.
Dr. Lewis.
Mr. Sterling, hi. This is Service Lago, Julius Lago's mom. I had a question. Do you know how often there'll be maintenance on the machine to ensure that accurate temperatures are taken?
They will be checked and calibrated, to my knowledge, again, by our tech team. They will be, making sure that it is up to standard. We will be monitoring it very closely, only because they are, new machines. But again, they have been very successful in places, in school settings and in hospitals in different areas. The feedback that we've gotten is very good from these machines. So again, but our tech department will be monitoring these devices to make sure that they're up to the flow and up to code for that.
Thank you.
Mr. Talon, it's Mike Coswell.
Hi, how are you?
It's Mike Coswell. Mike Coswell.
Yes. How are you? How are you, Mr. Carswell?
It's very good. I have a question to ask you about the school going like 20. You said there was going to be about 20 kids in class. We were told that it was going to be 12 to 15.
No, it depends again, Mr. Carswell, on the size of the room. Some rooms, again, are smaller. It would be up to 16, again, up to 16. The other rooms that are a little bit larger could get up to 20, but that's depending again on the size of the room. Those are max for those rooms. Again,
okay,
social distancing.
My next question is, I have my son and daughter going to the school this year, and both of them, this may be a silly question, but both of them like peanut butter and jelly. Is it going to be a problem with them having a peanut butter?
Yes, there will. We were discussing that. It will be. There will be. It has to be a peanut-free zone. only because of being in the classroom and contained within that area. In the lunchroom downstairs, we were able to go and designate areas because of the size of the cafeteria, but because of, and it's a great question, Mr. Carswell, the size of the classrooms, the way they are, and the way students are next to each other and in the air in the zone, they won't be able to have peanut products within there. We've been, over the years trying to balance things as best as possible. We could in the larger setting in the cafeteria because of the size of the cafeteria, but definitely not in the size of the classrooms we would be able to do that.
Does this also apply to tree nuts?
Okay.
Mr. Talon, how you doing, Mr. Talon?
Good.
I had one quick question about the virtual learning.
Okay.
So if a child decided to we did the virtual learning, and then after on November 16th, if we wanted to send our child back to school, would they have the same exact teacher?
No, not necessarily. That because of, it depends on the numbers. It's a very good question. That could fluctuate or it might not be the same teacher that they had for the virtual learning, only because of reallocation. So if they are after November 16th, a parent does decide it probably could be a different teacher within that span, because only of the fluctuation of numbers and the classes.
And how does that transition work? Just to follow up.
How does the transition work for that student?
Yeah.
Well, that would be out before November 16th, a survey for those parents that are on virtual learning, and they would return that, and we would work on figuring out which classrooms size-wise are available, and giving a time period so that the student can adjust into that classroom. We will have our teachers working on transferring any information. A lot of it, which is very good, Seesaw is a great platform, and we're able to go and share a lot of the information that we have from teacher to teacher, and that's been very helpful. So it's going to be a good platform for us for going from a virtual learning to going back and forth, the transfer of information, and also know that our teachers will be on the same page. They're going to be doing, whether it's virtual or at physically here, they're going to be on the same time frame, the same platform, give or take, a lesson or so, but pretty much they're going to be planning and working together so that we're all on the same page, whether it's virtual or whether it's in school.
Mr. Talon, I have a question. My daughter Ava Matola is going to be a first grader.
Okay.
I have some concerns regarding the CDC guidelines and guidelines that are obviously being followed in the school regarding the wearing of face masks. My major concern is that the children are going to be spending most of their time inside a classroom not wearing masks, regardless of the fact that they will be distanced 6 feet from each other. We all know that droplets spread. What kind of ventilation systems are in place to circulate air, regardless of whether there's fresh air or windows? The guidelines say cloth face coverings be considered. They should be on every child in that classroom. Certainly the children are not able to wear masks, but 5-6 months into this, children, my children wear masks. They take to touch their faces, but I'm very concerned about my child sitting in a classroom, whether it's with 16 other children or 20 other children, all day long, 6 hours a day, not wear masks. I think children need to be wearing masks in the classroom, regardless of the distance between them. And that's also teachers' safety. We all know, based on studies, that these events, the infections of COVID-19 spread in gatherings, whether they're distanced or not. You have a closed space. So I really would encourage all family members to have their children wear their masks in their classrooms, not when they're sitting, not just in passage in a hallway. I think it's important. I hope others agree. I just don't agree with the guidelines.
Understood, Mr. Matola. Know that, as I said, we're, ventilation is very important. We're making sure that, our windows and ventilation, as far as within the classroom is good. But also, we also know that as children at that age, it's very important too that, they keep that balance for them. It's very hard for students at that age, to maintain that.
Well, I think we as adults and parents have been educating our children to wear masks, but to then have them sit in a classroom without their masks, in my opinion, is a mistake. We should be encouraging them to wear their masks. And you have no way to provide any security or sense that ventilation, this is a paper plan. This is not a plan that we know is going to work. We hope it works. So why take a risk? Certainly, children should be wearing their masks. If we're going to send our children to school, if that's a decision that's going to be made, then I think you should take all precautions that you can possibly take.
Yeah, it's keeping the balance, Mr. Matola. And again, students, if they prefer, or parents, if they prefer that the student has a mask, they can wear that all day. But know that we are following the guidelines that BOCES has given us, and they're trying to keep a balance for the kids.
Sure, I think we should go above the guidelines. We should do better.
Again, I hear you. Again, if you prefer, the option as far as wearing a mask during the day, the students can have that extra protection. You would just contact the teacher and say that you prefer to have them. But
I'll tell my children. Hopefully, the teachers can support that. I just think that
it will be hard.
This is all very much an unknown. I just don't think that saying children,
seriously,
children.
Seriously, they're kids.
Okay. Again, it's
serious, but
we're trying to keep a balance between that, and again, the option is that if they want to prefer to wear the mask during the day, they definitely can. We're going to, if the parent prefers, we're going to try our best, to honor that. But know that, again, children are children, and everyone has, different concerns and different needs, and we're trying to balance that as best we can. And, we're trying to respect parents' choice as best we can.
Good evening, Mr. Talon. This is Anaria, Impact's mom. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. First, I just want to say thank you to Dr. Lewis, yourself, and Ms. Gross for, working so hard during these times.
Thank you.
Whether it's remote or brick and mortar, my question is testing the students, because I know that Principal Gross mentioned about the STAR assessment.
Yep.
Are we going to have similar assessments for our students at Downing?
Yes, we will. We will be doing exactly the same, both for math and for reading. We'll be doing assessments through our STAR program. Ms. Gross was very instrumental, Ms. Martini, in bringing that in. Yes. And it's a great thing that we continue to monitor for our children, their academic progress. Even more so this time, because we want to go and make sure to see where students are academically after this time period. There's going to be a big fluctuation in where a student is at that time period. So that's really that assessment's going to be very important, more important than ever, actually.
And the assessment that they're entering, that they're going to take initially, if I change Tatum from digital or virtual learning to brick and mortar, is that going to follow him throughout the year?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, we're going to be monitoring as much, during the time period, with that, and our ISP teams and that's our instructional support teams will be meeting to make sure to see where that base is at the beginning and are the students progressing with that. But Know that, both schools, the K to 5 are on the same page with so many things. And that's huge, is that assessment part.
Okay, thank you so much.
Good evening, Mr.
Thank you.
Hi, Marilyn Smith. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Well, I just want to say thank you. This was an excellent presentation. We have a lot of questions, and you answered them in the presentation. So I just wanted to say, job well done. I just need one follow-up question of you. So, as an incoming kindergarten parent, if we do opt to the online virtual option, once you put the students in groups, is that when we will get access to Seesaw as far as like a username and password?
Yes, right after we're planning to go, the iPad and different things will be going out on the 9th. So we'll have more information about that. On the 10th, we are planning to start virtual learning for that day in both schools. So that's going to be big, with that. So we are going to be on that tight time frame with that. The iPads and all the other components will be going that virtual learning.
Okay, so we'll just get the username and passwords when we iPads, or
yes, that will all be going with the student as well.
Okay, thank you.
Have that combined.
Hi, Mr. Talon. This is Damian Troisi, Amelia Troisi's father.
Hi. Good. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for this. First of all, very helpful. Just one question. We're talking about specials and the special instruction. I'm curious, how is that happening? Are the students going to the outside spaces for the special instruction? Are instructors coming into the classroom?
Yes.
To another room? I guess my question goes to: Are people coming into this kind of enclosed pod on a regular basis for specials, or?
It would be the same special person that would be going in, the PE teacher, but as many of them as we can get outside. The lessons, we're going to be doing that, where the teacher would bring them to the particular designated zone, and the special area teacher will be working with them outside as much as possible. But being in New York and the weather, we're not in San Diego. And the weather changes very quickly, and so our teachers will be pushing in, the classes will be staying together, and the teacher will be pushing in, the classes won't be walking around the building.
All right, understood. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hey, Tom, it's Kristen Nieves. How are you?
Good. How are you, Ms. Nieves?
Okay, two questions. First is regarding iPads. So I know for the remote learning, the students will be getting a iPad, but for every day in school, you mentioned they would be on Seesaw at times. So will every student be getting an iPad? Because in Davidson, I know that they would be taking those home and be responsible for bringing them back charged.
Yes, that's a very good question. Right now, at the beginning, they're going to be looking at keeping them within school, only because of the age level and the responsibility factor. As they get to the intermediate school, the students by 3rd grade have that. I think we would be initially going maybe to 2nd and moving it down as time progresses and students become more getting more acclimated with school and responsibilities with that.
Okay, so as of I guess just a follow-up then, if for whatever reason the school does shut down, are there enough iPads, or has the district purchased enough iPads going forward? Okay.
Yes, there will be enough iPads for them to go home with them after being in school. We will be right on it right away. We will have everything ready for them to go if they have to go that way. We'll have that ready.
Thank you. And my second question is, this may seem kind of silly, but have teachers at all considered the masks that have a clear part around the around their mouth for like kindergartners? Because I know for speech, OT, PT, for learning sounds, I mean, these are really critical things for students to look at a teacher's face.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, exactly, with reading and understanding that's a key, and that would be helpful if they are masks that would be kind of approved that way, that would be fine with that. But know again that, the comfortability factor for students and breathing with mask is also very important too. So we have to keep that balance.
It's not so much for the students. I'm saying more for the teachers. Would the teachers be willing to wear that? Because I think the students looking at the teachers all day is probably more important than the student having that kind of mask.
Again, yeah, teachers will be having masks, during the day, but also when they're in their zone of 6 feet, they will be able to remove the mask so that they're able to go and articulate, with the students. But, I'm sure that will be looked into as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Mrs. Allen. It's Nicole Henderson. How are you?
Hi, Miss Henderson. How are you?
Okay, just bear with me for a second because I have two parents that emailed me questions that they weren't able to come because of work. So I guess one of the questions were, you mentioned the arrival and dismissal. I know Ms. Gross had mentioned like they were going to put M's on the outside of the school so the parents and teachers can stand on them. Are we doing that at Downing?
Yes, we are. Yes, Mr. Balzan has offered to the whole district as far as that. So we are looking into using the M's, M and M, on each slide probably, so that the students can get used to that at the beginning of the year with that. So we are looking into using the stencils and to do that as well.
Okay, and Nav, in the are there going to be people in the hallway supervising the hallways? Like, for examples, if the children have to go to the bathroom, are there going to be monitors to make sure that there are not a certain amount of kids in the bathroom? Like, how?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to be limiting the amount that will be able to go into the bathroom. We will have people, located in certain areas to make sure of the flow and students going in so that it's not over the amount that needs to be.
And she asked, are there going, with the temperature checking, will there be enough teachers, like how many will be designated to do the temperature checks, and then who will be in the quarantine with the kids?
Okay.
Like, is there going?
The temperature check, there will be at least 1 to 2, it depends on staffing there to, work with that kiosk area. We'll have someone escorting, and there will be an adult within the library area to assist the nurse in, getting the student acclimated, into school and make them feel very comfortable. And then, taking that second temperature. The reason we're using the library is a larger area, but it's also a fairly cool area in the building. Students, when they're coming in, sometimes they do get a little hot, whether it's on the bus or if they're running to school and, coming in. So that larger, cooler area will help, with the students so that they're able to, get that temperature regulated, and so that we can check it again.
Now, with the reading teacher, are they going to be considered specials? Because I know usually they pull them out the room. And if the kids aren't leaving out the rooms, where will the reading teachers go to do the reading with them? In the classroom with the other teacher and children?
At the beginning, yes. They'll be working in conjunction with the teachers. It's going to be very small groups. We are looking into possibly having them, work at desks that are outfitted with, how do I say, protection as far as that. We kind of worked at that on the screening that we had, our kindergarten screening, so that they can have those protections so that the reading teacher and the students can work more comfortably together with that.
And was there a decision made for the AC and the fans? I know I sat in the middle school one, and he was saying that there was a regulation, but I wasn't clear on it, that they can put the AC on as long as the windows are open. Is that accurate?
That is correct. Yes, that's the latest guidelines that we have.
Okay. And the last question, one more question, I'm sorry. For the exposure, do you know, I don't know if you know the answer for this. You said if the child is exposed by someone, they stay out for 14 days. But if the child is actually diagnosed with no symptoms, they're out for 10 days. Do you know why they're back sooner when they actually been diagnosed?
Let me just take a look at that.
I think I can help with that.
Okay.
That is a CDC directive because of the number of days that one would, if you had COVID, there are a certain number of days before you actually are diagnosed. So
Okay.
that's a CDC guideline that we're following directly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. And again, thank you, Dr. Lewis, for always, since she's come in, just been absolutely amazing and helping and assisting. And tonight is one of the nights as well that she's been fantastic in helping. So thank you, Dr. Lewis.
Mr. Talon, it's Tiffany
Mr.
Harris.
Talon?
Yes, hi, hello.
Hi, this is Julie Petrowski. I have a question specifically about those of us that are choosing virtual learning. Can you talk a bit more about what does the day look like for these children? Are they in front of the screen from 8:15 till 2:20 with a regular lunch break? What does that look like?
Okay, they will be following the same format as all the other grades, but they will be taking, like the students, a break for lunch. They will be getting a prep period during that time period, the virtual students that are on that. So they are basically following the exact same format as far as breaks and timing with that. And of course, the teacher will be reflective of that, knowing also the grade level that they're at, their ability to, sit in front of a computer. Kindergarten is very different than second grade and what they're able to do and how long they're able to sit there. But know that, as I said, it's be keeping that balance for the teacher doing virtual learning. That will be, both a challenge, but also a, ongoing building of that stamina for those kids. But they're following the exact same schedule with, the prep period in and taking the lunch break, and also when, taking the other break, the fresh air break as well, where they'll be getting that extra time, for that. It'll just be done at home instead.
Thank
They
you.
might have an activity, I'm just saying maybe during that time period where they're, doing a hunt for something in the house or doing something a little differently instead of doing the fresh air zone where they're, there.
This is Joe Richards. I just have one more question. I'm sorry. Is there any opportunity when the students are exiting the building on dismissal for them to walk back through the temperature checks? And my reason for that is, I'm sorry, did you hear me?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. My reason for that is, we'd like to believe not, but I think as an educator myself, I know that there's parents that, their child's running a low grade fever, they will, give them some Advil or Tylenol and send them on their way in the morning. However, which would then, when they go through a temperature check, they would not have a fever. However, if they've been in school for 6 hours, that medicine would wear off, that if they walked back through the temperature check scanners upon dismissal and were reading a fever, they could be denied entrance the next day?
Well, what we're going to be doing, it's a great question. We are going to be monitoring right away if there is any change. We're not going to be rescanning students during the day, but if there is any type of symptoms or any type of change in the student, they will be, rechecked by the school nurse. Again, it's just working together, both families and the school. I mean, a lot of it is also that, parents, really need to, be as honest about things as possible for the safety of all students. We're a family and we work together, for the protection of all our kids.
I agree with you, but would it be difficult and more time consuming to, if they're exiting anyway, additional level of
We wouldn't be doing that at the end of the day. Again, we're just going to be, if any symptoms do develop during the time period, we're going to be checking that. But as you know, when you're in the school, dismissal and arrivals are the hardest, especially dismissal with, early elementary, making sure they get on the right ways and stuff. But safety wise, again, we as far as with symptoms, we're will be, if they do exhibit during that time period, they're going to be sent right to the nurse's office during that time period.
Helen,
Mr. Fallon,
I have to say, I want to thank everyone. I'm still going to take a few more questions. We're going to end soon, but I want to thank you guys. Have been absolutely amazing. In first of all, your questions and your just the flow of everything. It's very hard. The amount, we have about 150 at one point people that were checking in. And, you guys have just been absolutely amazing in listening and giving support to fellow families and myself as well. So I want to thank you to everyone. So next question.
Hey, Mr. Talon, it's Daniel Cruz.
Hi.
As far as if we go for the in-person learning and we feel like we just get uncomfortable with it and we decide to have our child remote learn, how soon will they be able to be in the remote learning class? Would it be would it be a couple of days?
It would be November. That would be the cutoff point for that.
You said earlier that if we go for the in-person learning, we could take them out and then do remote learning. It just wasn't the other way around.
Yes. Take the remote and then go into class. That should be class 2 remote.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that means they would have to wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks before they can get back in a remote class?
No.
That's what he's asking. He wants to know how quickly, like if he decides.
I know what he's asking, and I'm saying no, he would not have to wait.
Oh.
Can you repeat that? We didn't hear your answer. Sorry.
The answer is that you can go into the remote learning. Of course, that is really, I can say yes, but also it really will depend on the number. Because if we're at, let's say we're at 2, you have to think that the remote learning is around, which is one of the reasons I said you can't really be flowing in and out. That's a class. So if your child would be number 36, that might generate the need to open up another section. So I'll say yes, you could do it immediately. And it depends on the number. If the number is close to, if the number it will allow us to put the child in, it could be done right away. But if your child is at the point where we have to make a decision to break a class, we may need to have to wait. So I would say yes, you can go immediately, but there's a proviso. We have to look at the numbers that are in the remote. Right now, I would say, given the numbers, the answer would be yes, immediately.
Got you. And is there a maximum number right now for the remote learning class? Or
no, but it's like another class, so we wouldn't want to have 40 kids. It's a teacher who's responsible for that.
Right.
So we really have to be mindful of those numbers. So I don't want to give us a hard and fast number right now. But just given the numbers that we're seeing right now, we're safe to say that we would be able to do a virtual class in all the grades.
Okay, thank you.
I have a quick question in reference to lunches from home. Is there any restrictions in terms of lunch boxes, Tupperware, thermoses? Are kids allowed to bring that, or does it all have to be paper bag and disposable?
It should be, paper bag disposable, with it only because of cleaning and safety concerns. If with students and their lunch boxes throughout the year, they become a problem. So we encourage that to be, paper bags.
I have a quick question to ask Mr. Talon.
Yes.
We have a follow-up question about the COVID situation and everything. If we find out if a child gets sick with whatever, whether it's COVID or not, how fast are you going to advise us that there's a possibility that there's a staff member or a child possibly having this?
Okay, great question. We're going to, right away, if we suspect that if we get notification, that will be with guidance from, the CDC and BOCES that will help us with that right away.
We have a follow-up. My husband wants to know if it's within my child's classroom and a student or the teacher has COVID or a possibility that they have COVID, how fast are you going to get back to us?
We'll close down class.
Or are you going to close down the class? Are you going to close down the school?
Yeah, again, if it's, from what I understand, it's one case. Again, we're going to be consulting with the BOCES and CDC. But, usually if it is one case, that class will be going on to be quarantined and virtual learning.
Okay,
If it's multiple, let's say it's more than one class, again, we're contacting, BOCES and CDC, but, that might be a different level of it. But at first, it would be, as far as within that classroom, that classroom would be quarantined right away, and we would notify right away.
And Mr. Talon, you said that the online, or I'm sorry, they said that the online classrooms would be around 36. Is that what I heard? 36
No,
students?
I think early, again, it's going to depend. We're going to keep it to a level that is workable, both for the teacher and for the students. But that, it could be 30, it could be 32. It depends. I mean, would be a high end, but that would have to depend. Let's say you go to 40 or something, we would have to look into, other options with that as far as doing another class, okay? Because again, those numbers, we would want to keep it so that it's workable for the student and for the teacher as well. Yes. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Talon, can I just ask a question quick?
Yes.
It's Miss Crowley. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Just real quick, I know that the kindergarten teachers, that you guys are going to have an orientation.
Correct.
I know that you guys have a million things going on. I was just hoping that perhaps the first grade teachers, if they have time, could maybe send, I don't even know, I want to say like a PowerPoint or something for these first graders that unfortunately only had 6 months of kindergarten. Because I know when I talk to my kids about potentially going back to school, Ava's dying to go back, but then she's so confused about the masks, and Aiden just burst into tears because he has no idea what Davidson is about at all, and he's totally freaking out. So I was just being that, and in addition to me kind of coaching them, that maybe some kind of like PowerPoint or visual, orientation could happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we, our PPE, or I'm sorry, PPS, we'll be looking into, our, school psychologists and social worker and our teams, as far as, that's a great point of maybe doing something like that, of doing a video or something to, that could help with that for students and make them more comfortable coming in.
Awesome, thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Talon, Jason Hayward, Miles Hayward's father. I wonder what, because we were given, it's two questions. One on transparency, because we were given misinformation about Malvern being COVID free. And then we found out that you all were actually quarantining last year. So we want to make sure that that doesn't happen this year. That's first. And then secondly, what's the protocol with if a teacher is absent? What happens to the class?
Okay. Very good questions, Mr. Hayward. Know that, like last year, we gave out notification as soon as we got confirmation, that we were able to do that, because we had cases earlier on in the springtime that people didn't test positive. And the last thing you want to do is send out something, and we had at least 2 cases that did not turn out positive. So we actually, when we did send out the letter, we wanted to make sure, and we actually sent it out in a very timely fashion right away for that. So notification and transparency is vitally important. And again, we went out and we were very vigilant in making sure from the family to get the information before actually it was given to us. So we worked very hard on that for the safety of our students, our faculty, during that time period. It was actually a very stressful time. We actually worked very, very hard to go and get that information and get it out as soon as we could. And we did send it out because it was timely. So we were, with that right away. Your second question, I'm sorry, again, was what happens when a teacher is out? We're going to, have our substitutes during that time period. But again, it's going to be a challenge because of the number of classes that we have. But, we're going to make sure that our substitutes are the same ones, as much as possible within there so that, our students are familiar. We've been very fortunate, here at the school that we've had the same substitutes that are in the classrooms, and our students know them very well over the years. So we're looking to continue with that.
Mr. Town, quick question. The kids who are in the cohort, so you have a kid that decides, the parents decide for their child to be in person, and they've been with these, hopefully 14, 15 kids for like 2 months. Now other parents say, hey, it's working, I want to transition. Do they come in our cohort classes or do they go into other classes before they come into the kids who've been together for 2 months?
It'll depend on the numbers and where to put students, with that. It's going to be a hard challenge to, find to the students when they do come back. So, it won't be probably the same teacher when they go.
Sorry, Mr. Collin, can you just elaborate on cohort grouping in context? Because I'm not familiar. I'm a mother of an incoming kindergartner.
Yeah.
Just not familiar with that.
Basically, they're staying with their grouping. They're going to within the class. So they're how do I say? They're going, whether it's in class during the day or throughout the day, playing together, staying together. They're going to be within that grouping the whole time.
I'm sorry, it's a group within the class. So the class, let's say, has 16 kids. The cohort would be the 16?
That's the cohort, it's the 16. They're going to be doing everything together during that time period. They're, for playtime, anything, they'll be together during that time period.
Mr. Tallon, can I just ask a quick question on virtual?
Sure.
When the kids are doing virtual, are the teachers live teaching them or are they doing independent work?
They'll be doing combination, but a good percentage of it will be live teaching.
Okay, perfect.
Mr. Tallon, with distance learning, are they going to be graded the same way as children physically going to the school?
Yes, they will. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Tallon, I have a question. This is Stephanie Brown.
Sure.
If a child has siblings in other school, in one of the other buildings, and let's say one of their siblings tests positive for COVID, what is the plan for the other schools?
We will be notified. We will be notifying the other school right away, with that. And we'll be taking those precautions that were mentioned earlier as far as that. We'll be following those guidelines with that.
So at what level is there a complete shutdown?
If it's, huh?
At what level is there? Sorry, at what level is there a complete shutdown?
There would be, again, like I mentioned before, about the particular student in the classroom. If that happened within there, sorry. Again, we're following what CDC and BOCES guidelines are, but if they're diagnosed, with it, they will have to be quarantined for that period of time. It's given, by the CDC. I'm going to take, it's 8:42, so I'm going to take maybe one more question before we wrap up.
Once they get in the building?
I'm sorry?
I just have a follow-up question. Once they go through the scanners and
Yes.
once the children enter the building. So obviously, at the end of the day, all the children are together and they know their teacher and they're leaving. But when they come in, how are the teachers organizing the classes? How are they getting to their rooms if everyone's supposed to be 6 feet apart in the hallway?
We're going to have, our monitors and teachers assisting, and making sure that the students are going where they need to do. We're going to be using all hands on deck as far as, our reading teachers and any other teachers that we have to make sure that our flow and the students are heading in the right direction and following, social distancing guidelines. But we're going to have, areas where people are placed so that we're moving our students into the classroom.
Okay, so obviously for second graders, they're gonna probably know their teachers' names better, but I'm just thinking of the little ones, the new kindergartners coming in.
Yeah, we're going to have one thing that Dr. Lewis was instrumental in is we're a different day than the middle school and high school, and we're going to have additional assistance from those buildings coming in for the first day or two to go and help assist the elementary schools for K-5, and to make sure that everyone's getting those routines down right away. So we're, it's all hands on deck, not just for the school, but the district will be helping and assisting as well.
That's great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I'm going to take one more question.
Mr. Talon, are there going to be water fill-up stations as opposed to water fountains in the school?
Yes, we will not have the water fountains. We're working on adding additional stations for the water. What do you call it again? I'm sorry. The
like a fill-up station.
Hydration.
There you go.
Working on as well. But again, the water fountains will not be working, so we'll be shut off because of safety issues. So we'll be, students can bring in, water, but we're going to have also the stations as well. We're working on that. Mr. Bowson came in and took a look at the areas so that we can, work on that ASAP.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I'd like to thank everyone, for joining us today. I hope, again, you've been absolutely amazing and supportive of each other, during this time period. And again, you can email me if you have any questions or, concerns. I'm here. Also, we're having our special ed meeting, which is tomorrow, which I mentioned, and also Dr. Lewis and our central counsel is going to have a meeting August 19th at 7:30 as well. But again, you can email me, with any questions or concerns that you have, and I will definitely try to answer them. But I want to thank everyone tonight for being very supportive and listening to everyone and to, add that support, which is so important. So I'd like to thank everyone again for joining us. And again, my email is here, and I look forward to a great start with our teachers and our students. And again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Talon. You guys have done an awesome job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Talon. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dr. Lewis, thank you, Mr. Talon. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone.
Awesome job.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Talon.
Thank you.
You missed